Welcome everyone to the 65th Annual Service Awards event. I'm Heihei Depew, Chair of the Employee Assembly. I would like to welcome all of our honorees, guests, families, and friends to this celebration. While we wait for everyone to arrive, we invite you to participate in some Cornell trivia. Let's see how much you remember. Please feel free to use the chat feature for your answers. Welcome and greetings to anyone who has just joined us. I'm Heihei Depew, Chair of the Employee Assembly, and I want to welcome everyone to the 65th Annual Service Awards event. We will begin our program shortly with welcome remarks from Vice President and Chief Human Resources Officer, Mary Opperman. While we wait a few more minutes for guests to join us, I invite you to participate in some Cornell trivia. Please feel free to use the chat feature for your answers.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the 65th Annual Service Recognition Awards. For those of you I may not know, I'm Mary Opperman, Vice President and Chief Human Resources Officer here at Cornell, and I want to begin by expressing just how happy I am to be celebrating with you today. This event has been around for more than 6 decades, and although we were forced to cancel it last year, we are excited to take this moment to recognize our long-serving staff who are celebrating anniversaries that occurred over the past 2 years. Of course, this event is going to be a little different this year. For starters, we're virtual. Although the CDC and New York State guidance for large events has expanded, we began the planning for this event several months ago, and so we decided to keep it virtual. Which probably means that most of you are joining us from the comfort of your own homes. I decided to dress up anyway. I don't know about you, but I miss having an opportunity to get dressed up. Being virtual has also given us an opportunity to reimagine some of the ways we celebrate this event. And I think you're really going to enjoy what our creative team has come up with. But first, before we get into the program, it is my pleasure to welcome President Pollock to share a few words.
Thank you, Mary, and welcome to all of our awardees and families. Today, we celebrate and recognize the 570 members of our Cornell staff who are marking 25 or more years of service with Cornell, and who, collectively, represent more than 10,000 years of Cornell experience and knowledge. While I really wish we could have been together in person for this event, I'm so glad to have the opportunity to thank and congratulate you even virtually, and to tell you how much you all mean to Cornell. Every service awards dinner is a special occasion, because Cornell would not be the world-class academic community it is without the immense contributions of our staff, who are in every way the backbone of this university. Without you, there would be no teaching, there would be no research, there would be no engagement, and there would be no residential life. It's always been true that Cornell is what it is because of the staff who keep it running smoothly. But this year, that's been true on an entirely new level. And at this service dinner, I want to take the opportunity to say as loudly as I can, thank you. Everyone at this Service Awards dinner has been part of the Cornell community for decades. And over the last year and a half, every one of you took on new responsibilities, each in your own way, to keep our community safe, healthy, and moving forward throughout this pandemic. Whether you've been working on campus or at home, in your usual role or an entirely new one, all of you have come together in a truly incredible fashion to make this year of in-person residential instruction a success. Together, you pulled together and dealt with every new change with grace and strength and good humor. You've supported Cornell, and you've supported each other through one of the most turbulent years in the history of our university, and you kept everything running smoothly, even in these most exceptional times. I can't thank you enough for everything you've done. Congratulations to all of you.
Thank you, President Pollock. As I mentioned before, this year, we embraced the chance to reimagine this event. We recreated some fan-favorite features, like the trips down memory lane, but we also developed some new segments in which some of our awardees share their own fond memories and stories of their time at Cornell. In the vein of tradition, I have a few housekeeping items. Please be aware of your exits in the case of an emergency. They may be to the front, to the back, or either side of where you're sitting. This has always been one of my favorite parts of the event, and I couldn't help but keep it in. We encourage you to use the chat function to interact, cheer each other on, and say hello to colleagues and friends. As part of our Memory Lane feature, we have created video segments that will feature TV commercials and products from each time period. Please know that Cornell does not endorse any of these products. They are only shown for entertainment value. Due to copyright infringement laws, this event in its entirety, specifically those Memory Lane videos I just mentioned, will not be published for future viewing. But There will be a condensed version available on the Service Award webpage in the next week or so. And finally, normally around this time during the in-person dinner, we would be getting dessert, so please make sure you have your snacks ready. Let's start the celebration with our awardees celebrating 25 years of service. This group would have started their careers at Cornell somewhere between the summer of 1994 and the spring of 1996. First, we'll watch the Memory Lane video from this time, and then we'll get to hear from some of our awardees about their memories.
I was born in South Louisiana and transplanted here to Ithaca in the 70s. My first impressions of Cornell were really good, especially because it was a university that had the any person, any study motto. When I went to college, I joined Alpha Phi Alpha, which actually started here at Cornell in 1906. And the any person, any study, without that motto, even those later things in life would not have been available, I don't think, anywhere else.
I have been born and raised here in Lansing. Before working, my time at Cornell was going to hockey games back in the 70s when they were awesome, going to concerts. I went to my first concert in Barton Hall and saw Chicago the year before they became really famous. That was sort of what we did on campus. We're just attending big events. I really didn't know too much about the rest of it, but we loved coming to the events.
I remember thinking about where should I go to college? And there was no internet in 1978. There were these little bubble sheets where you would pick an interest. And I remember you do a bunch of questions and at the bottom, Cornell was always listed. And so I looked up, where is Cornell? What is Cornell? And came to visit. My impression of Cornell was that it was a model university, but I learned as a student that it might be a big place, but it's about the people that work here, that teach here, that go to school here.
Well, of course, the first thing is technology. Going from handwriting letters, mimeographing letters to what we have now. I mean, it's just really amazing.
The physical part of Cornell, the facilities, the roadways, the trees.
There's less green in the heart of Cornell, but then there's more green on the extensions. And I even love seeing the sea of solar panels to let the world know that we're a green university.
And some of the people have changed. Many of my friends have retired, but guess what? There are people that have been hired to take their place. So yes, there are new buildings where there used to be grass, but it's still a wonderful place.
Even though we have all that technology, there are so many things that haven't changed. We still have students coming. We still have admissions. The processes have become computerized, but a lot of the processes are still the same.
It has always been a university and a community that has continually marched forward with equality and diversity, and that continues today.
Hello everyone, I'm Avery August, Vice Provost for Academic Affairs and Presidential Advisor on Diversity and Equity. I am so thrilled to be recognizing and congratulating our 30 years of service honorees. I would also like to welcome all the families and friends of the honorees. Wow, it's been 30 years, 5 Cornell presidents, 5,000 new students that have been added over that time. I commend you in such dedication and commitment through a lot of change. So you've traveled a lot over the 30 years with Cornell, and we're traveling back in time to the summer of 1989 through spring of 1991.
When you're in one institution for 35 years, you encounter a lot of people. And believe me, there's many, many, many people that I've come in contact with that have inspired me here at this university. But I think there's one person that sticks out with me that's probably had the most impact on me in my career. He retired. His name is Bob Stuntner. He was a project manager that worked for Central Facility Services and worked for maintenance management. And I learned so much from that person, both professionally and personally, and kind of tailored the direction that I went in my career here at Cornell. So I think he's probably had the most impact on me and my life at Cornell.
I had come directly out of college. I transitioned from that to the Student Services Office at the College of Veterinary Medicine. And I had two female supervisors at that time that really, they formed the foundation of where I wanted to see my career at Cornell. I just truly became engaged with student records. And a lot of that is from them and the encouragement to be allowed to explore the opportunities that were before me. So it's just those two ladies I owe a lot to, and they are always part of my history.
One of the most memorable coworkers certainly would have been Chief Zoner, my predecessor in the role of chief. She did a lot to mentor me and many members of this department in not only being technically great police officers, but building the cultural skills and really emphasizing that we needed to be sure we're taking care of our community and taking care of people. That's something that's never left me, and it's probably the reason Chief Zoner and I are still friends to this day and talk often. I think I'm proudest of the progress that this department has made over the course of my career. We've gone from being just a service organization and still a good police department, but we've really taken it to the next step when it comes to the professionalism and the training. The quality of people I have working around me today in the Cornell Police is just something I am really proud of.
Over the course of the last year with the pandemic, I was part of the roster implementation team that was able to help ensure that we had a class roster and see the students successfully enroll in terms, knowing at the end of the day that, we had our classes, we had our enrollment, and students were being part of campus still, even remote, has been a big experience for me.
There's one project in my mind that sticks out to me the most at Cornell University that I've done. And trust me, I've literally done thousands of projects on this campus. It was the very first large project that I was ever involved in at Cornell University. And it was in St. Olin and Baker Laboratory. And we were renovating the mechanical system. We had certain folks that told us that it couldn't be done and it was impossible and we were going to fail. So I took that as a personal charge that we weren't going to fail. There was a faculty member, and I remember riding on the elevator with him one day. And he said to me, he goes, "There's no way you can ever do this. This is not going to work. This is never going to happen." And when we got done 5 years later, on that same elevator, I rode with that same faculty member, and he said, "I was wrong. You guys did fantastic." You talk about getting your confidence and growing. Well, that's what happens here at Cornell.
Hi, I'm Paul Streeter, Vice President for Budget and Planning. It's my great pleasure to recognize our 35 years of service honorees. I want to welcome your families and friends that are joining you this evening. 35 years, it does not seem possible how fast this time has gone. I remember starting at Cornell in late April of 1986 with a shantytown in the art squad and a student sit-in in the lobby of Day Hall just outside my work area on my second week on the job. We've had the great privilege of being a part of over 20% of the history of Cornell, and we have served under the leadership of 6 of the 14 university presidents. We have witnessed much change, celebrated many achievements, and overcome many challenges, perhaps none more than this past year. I congratulate all of my fellow 35-year awardees and all other awardees this evening. I hope your Cornell journey has been as enjoyable and interesting as mine has been. Now let's travel back to the summer of 1984 through the spring of 1986.
Well, my husband would say it was the day that he walked into my lab in food science and asked me out on a blind date. And we've been married for 45 years coming up this August.
There's a lot of really good days on campus, and that's one of the benefits that I see in my history working at Cornell is some of the really special times you get to enjoy, whether it be some of our dignitaries or special events on campus.
Not as an employee, but as a student, I was graduation, having family on campus. I was engaged at the time to my now wife, and so that's probably by far the best day that I've had on Cornell's campus.
But I think the most special day each year is commencement. You get to see these students who have worked so hard over the past 4 years graduate. And it's interesting to see just how much officers, and I know myself, I get engaged with the students that this is what we're here for, is to help them and to see how proud their parents and how proud they are. I think we share a little bit of pride in seeing them graduate ourselves.
As an employee, I think that coming back here as a head coach, was special, just returning to Cornell and getting the opportunity to coach at my institution that I went to school, and that was a special moment coming back and having the press conference and knowing that I was going to get an opportunity to lead this program.
The years that we've had inaugurations and commencement, I'm proud to say, have helped with 5 different presidential inaugurations. It's been real rewarding to have my skills and abilities and knowledge about planning large events to be part of those inaugurations and to do commencement the same year. Those were pretty big years, along with Charter Day weekend that we had a few years ago.
I think probably that first year as a head coach, just being back and there's so many firsts. My first year coaching, my first year we won a championship, first opportunity to hire staff, mold a program the way I wanted to mold it.
The most memorable year, of course, is this year. 2020, dealing with a pandemic and all the uncertainty that brought, and then all the hard work that students, staff, and faculty all put into making this a successful year. This will definitely be a year that none of us will forget in our careers.
Welcome, honorees, families, and friends. My name is Ryan Lombardi, and I'm the Vice President for Student and Campus Life here at Cornell. It is my pleasure to recognize our 40 years of service honorees this evening. So much has changed in the last 40 years, and I hope your time at Cornell has created many great memories for you to reflect on tonight. Congratulations on this incredible milestone, and thank you for your work and dedication to Cornell. Regardless of the challenges that we faced this past year, I'm so glad we have the opportunity to celebrate you and your contributions to Cornell. Now let's look back to the summer of 1979 through the spring of 1981.
I'm going to keep it simple and just say I think that my biggest impact is the work that we continue to do.
I think my impact is to, at least I hope, is to make a lot of physical access improvements. I'd like to think that we've been able to have people look at the accessibility not as a checkbox to, okay, we need to just make it accessible, but understanding the people side of what we do.
Within my own division, but the areas outside of our division, the colleges and the departments, and that daily interaction with them, how the work that we do in our office or that I do myself impacts their ability to do things better and easier.
Whether they're the students I worked with or the faculty that I worked with, I've worked with so many staff on campus that I hope that I have brought good things to their work and not made work harder for others.
Our job is to support people, be it faculty members or students or staff members, so that the physical environment is not something that is a barrier for them to go and do what they need to do. Those are 100-year buildings, and trying to see the people side of what we build and what we design and what we implement.
I can't even fathom that I would change Cornell in any sort of huge way. But the little ways are important, and I think if we're all contributing in little ways, that's the importance of what we do here. I think for me, I'm a person who likes clarity in their work. I like to know what's expected. I like to know what I'm working towards.
I've become much more patient.
I was very young. I literally graduated from college and 4 months later was working at Cornell. You think you know everything at that point in your life, and you realize now you didn't know anything.
How have I grown is I've learned to deal better with ambiguity. I've learned how to create order out of chaos. I've grown in my ability to do that.
I'm in much different mindset and perspective than I think I would have been if I'd not been able to be part of Cornell, not just work here, but be part.
The opportunities and the engagement that I've had for the last 25 years at Cornell has really helped me grow as an individual and as an employee and as a team member. It's just amazing, the opportunities, if you just take them.
Hello, my name is Catherine McComas, and I serve as the university's Vice Provost for Engagement and Land Grant Affairs. It is my privilege to recognize our 45 years of service honorees. I also want to welcome families and friends that are attending in support of all our honorees. Let me begin by congratulating our honorees and thanking you for all that you do at Cornell. We are deeply grateful that you have been a part of our community for so many years, and today we are excited to celebrate your accomplishments. And 45 years is a huge accomplishment. This last year may mark as one of the longest or most challenging, so it's extra important that we take the time to celebrate together. Now, before we introduce our honorees, let's look back 45 years to the summer of 1974 to the spring of 76, when our honorees began their journey at Cornell.
I have migrated to work at home for the entire year. Of course, I feel incredibly lucky, privileged.
Much of my work in the Office of Community Relations is meeting with local municipal leaders. And what has been different is that I've been able to be a little bit more present for all of the meetings. When a meeting would end at 10 a.m. at the Chamber of Commerce, which is, down by Stewart Park. And at 10, I'd have a meeting on Central Campus. It was tricky to do that. And now it's just a matter of click, 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 and I'm basically in a meeting.
I don't think all of us are operating at our best, but I do think that all of us has stepped up to perform as best as possible given the circumstances. And sometimes you have to get thrown into things to realize what we're all capable of.
I've spent the last 25 years of my career here at Cornell, designing, supporting, helping to build what I consider to be first-class educational facilities. And guess what? We're not using them. We transitioned to supporting the faculty in a different way. So we've all had to become experts at screen sharing in Zoom and breakout rooms and helping our students and faculty connect in ways that are going to be enjoyable and meaningful. Kind of like what we're doing here today.
I wouldn't want to have done this over again. I would never have chosen to do this. But since we were faced with it, I think we all made the best of it, and we're still making the best of it. It's not over. We're doing what we can do. And that's what has been most memorable in this past year for me. Jump into your job with 2 feet. Enjoy it. Every job is important.
I have worked hard to never say, that's not my job. I have worked hard to say, let me help you with that. If I can't help you with what you need help with, let me find somebody that will.
Take pride in what you're doing and be the best that you can be.
There's so much you can't control in your work, in your life. But what you can do is manage how you respond to those things that come your way.
And you make it clear that you're committed to what you do, you're curious about what you do the best you can at it. You're going to be recognized for those interests and skills.
But in the end, you're the one that can best manage yourself.
And that type of attitude is what we all need to move forward together.
Hello, I'm Reginald White, and I'm the Senior Director of Human Resources for the Research Division. Today, I have the honor and privilege of recognizing our service honorees who are celebrating 50 years of service. I'd also like to acknowledge friends and family who have the opportunity to attend today's event. 50 years, a half a century. That's a significant contribution to anything, and particularly to the university. So for our three honorees who are celebrating this milestone today, I'd like to say thank you for all the contributions and all the achievements that you've made to the university over that 50-year period. It's a significant accomplishment, and we are deeply grateful for your contributions. Now, let's take a moment to look back at the summer of 1969 to the spring of 1971.
My favorite spot on campus. So one of the things I do to stay healthy, at least when it's a little warmer and there's not a lot of ice there, is run the stadium stairs. So my favorite spot is the last row of the last going up and down those stairs on Shokov Stadium.
Well, liner rink is the obvious one. I don't really look at it as a job, it's more of a passion. So if it was on campus, you're really one of my favorite times of the year, one of my favorite things to do when everybody else is off campus and getting a chance to walk down Tower Road and seeing the clock tower. There's absolutely nobody here, and it's so quiet and beautiful. Enjoy Cornell almost to yourself.
Just this past year, I was able to get onto the roof of the new Fine Arts Library in Rand Hall. There's a terrace on top of that, which had stunning views of campus from that angle. And as a wheelchair user, I don't get the chance to get on roofs all that much.
There really isn't one favorite memory. It's just the whole experience about, there's the academic side of Cornell, and then there's the real education side of Cornell. And the education for me is the seeing young men become leaders in their community. That to me is the education that they receive while they're on campus, not kind of the academic side of it. That's an exciting process to go through as a coach.
When I first came to Cornell, our program on employment and disability was in the old ILR extension building, and we shared our space with the emeritus professors from ILR, and Alice Cook was part of in that particular suite. We wouldn't see her all that often. I just met her as Professor Cook, and then I learned about everything she did for the university. And then Professor Jenny Farley, which just was iconic to be able to be part of in some small way of sharing office space with them.
I was on a video shoot in Inner Mongolia, China, videotaping the lives of some of the people who lived out there in a cancer study. And that trip took me to Beijing, Shanghai, just getting to get around the country, the world on one project was really great.
And with that, we come to the close of our program. It's been really fun to watch the time capsule footage and listen to the memories and testimonials of our awardees. But before we sign off, I would like to thank the recognition team who took on the challenge of recreating this event from in-person to virtual, CIT and University Relations for making this virtual event possible, President Pollock, Vice Provost Avery August, Vice Provost Catherine McComas, Vice Presidents Ryan Lombardi and Paul Streeter, Employee Elected Trustee Reginald White, and outgoing Employee Assembly Chair Hei Depew for giving their time and kind words to our awardees. Our retirees who are joining us, thank you for coming back to spend a few more minutes with us. And speaking of retirees, I hope our very own Cheryl McGraw is with us tonight. Cheryl was the creative force behind all of our recognition events for many years, and she decided to retire last year. Cheryl, we thank you and wish you only the best. And thank you to family, friends, and colleagues who attended to support our honorees. I'm also pleased to make one final special announcement for our milestone honorees. In lieu of our traditional dinner, we've partnered with the Downtown Ithaca Alliance to provide each awardee with a restaurant gift card to enjoy dinner on us at any of the participating restaurants. Honorees will receive their restaurant gift card through the mail in the next couple of days, along with a web link for more information. Thank you all, and I hope you have a wonderful evening.